Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is Osama Sayyid from IslamAfterAhmadiyya.com. This video is part 2 of Ahmadiyya organization not condemning Israel. In the first part that was loaded on YouTube, I believe it was 14th of July 2014. As of today the 22nd of August 2014, approximately 2,000 Palestinians have been bombed to pieces, shot, buildings land on them, all sorts of stuff by the Israelis. Israelis have killed them, murdered them. It's not really, can't really call it killing really, when you're just killing all these innocent civilian people who are not fighting against you. On the 25th, the reason for this video is to offer some updates and some comments, some remarks on Mirza Masroor. He is the head of Ahmadiyya organization. Of course, the listeners know this. His earliest condemnation that we've got of the incidents of the summer of 2014, the earliest one we found was after we actually uploaded this video on the 25th of July 2014, and I'm going to quote Mirza Masroor from his little speech. I'll start now. It says, "Sadly, many Islamic countries do not have any harmony or unity. Public is fighting the public, or is fighting the rulers, or the rulers are unjust and cruel to the public. Cruelty is being perpetrated and is being accentuated. Due to this lack of harmony and unity, the others have the nerve to do whatever they wish against Muslims. This is the reason that Israel is continuing to viciously kill innocent Palestinians. Had the Muslims been united and followed the path of God with their immense strength, such barbarity would not have been committed. There are some rules and regulations of war. The Palestinians have no power against Israel. It is said that Hamas also perpetrates cruelty against Israel. Then the Muslim countries should stop Hamas from it. However, the aggression shown by the two can be likened to one person fighting with a stick and the other an army fighting with artillery. Muslim countries assume, as the Palestinian situation was mourned in Turkey recently, they think by officially mourning they have paid their dues. The Western powers are also not playing their role. What was needed was that both sides should have been strictly stopped from perpetrating aggression. We can only pray, may Allah save the victims and the innocents and peace is established. Similarly, other Muslim countries have internal strife where persecution and disorder is rife. May Allah give them sense, and they have unity, otherwise they will not be paying their dues of worship of God and will not be granted the night of destiny. In the absence of harmony, the blessing of the night of destiny is removed and only darkness remains." Now this is that was on the 25th of July. Now this is quite funny because the funny thing, I'll show you, I'll explain to you what the funny point is that Ahmadi people who have been messaging us, me and my colleagues at the Islam After Ahmadiyya website and on YouTube, leaving comments, they've actually, they think that this is a condemnation by Mirza Masroor. And so they're thinking that, oh, you're being unfair or whatever. If you listen to those words and you look at what Mirza Masroor has written, he's actually just blaming all the Muslims for the Palestinians being killed. It's the Muslims' fault for not being united. It's the Muslim countries' fault for not being united. That's all he's done. He's never come out strongly and said what Israel is doing is criminal. Something along those lines. Barbaric. How dare the Israelis do this? What? If he really is a Khalifa of Allah, if he really is a Khalifa of Allah and he's on the side of the just and he has no fear of rulers and all this sort of thing, why don't you say the truth, Mr. Masroor? Why don't you speak up and say what Israel is doing is so horrendous? The Israeli government is criminal. The Israeli government is a terrorist government. The Israeli government is illegitimate anyway because it's not their land and they occupied it. by the powers given to them by the British, who had the land before the end of World War II, and they ended up giving it to Israel. They gave the Zionists the land, and they formed the state of Israel, and this is all down to the British government who created this problem. No, Mirza Masroor sits there blaming all the the Muslims. Blaming all the Muslims. The Muslims before, when Israel got formed, everybody should remember who Gamal Abdel Nasser was, the Egyptian president, the Egyptian leader. He used to come out and condemn David Ben Gurion and Golda Meir, the Israeli leaders, and he used to condemn them and actually insult them live on TV. That's what you do to criminal terrorist states, terrorist people like the Israeli government, the Zionist Israeli government. That's the way you condemn. Now, I've just given one example. Even the king of Saudi Arabia, before he was killed in the 1970s, he always used to stand up and speak against Israel very strongly. No political, how do you say, being very sensitive and all this sort of stuff. There is no sensitivity when you're talking about evil states, illegal states, such as Israel. There is no sensitivity required here. They are committing all sorts of crimes. You don't need to be sensitive and pick your words properly. What does Mirza Masroor do in his supposed condemnation, which Ahmadis call it condemnation? It's so funny. I saw 2 articles where the title says the Ahmadiyya leader, whatever, condemns what is going on in Palestine, condemns. And then you read the article, you see that it's not really a condemnation, is it? It's not really a condemnation at all. What sort of condemnation is it when you're blaming all the other Muslims? And then you stick in the Ahmadiyya organization in there to try to get some sort of sympathy from the people. He's shamelessly, the Ahmadiyya organization, it's not just Mirza Masroor who said it, some other people who are in charge of some sort of press releases, they've shamelessly tried to get a free plug, let people know that we're also getting persecuted as well, And Mirza Masroor, on the 8th of August, he said what? These are just a couple of sentences from what he said. He said, who is more persecuted than Ahmadis in a few Muslim countries? Question mark. Whether it is the freedom of Palestine, now obviously there's another portion of what he said. Whether it is the freedom of Palestinians or liberation of Muslims from tyrannical rulers, only the prayers of Ahmadis can guarantee it. Currently, Ahmadis are the most persecuted people. Look how he shamelessly, what a disgrace. Number one, how the hell are the Ahmadi people the most persecuted people? How many Palestinians have been killed since Israel formed their state and started to ethnically cleanse the area and take all the land for themselves and form the state of Israel as we know it today? How many? Hundreds of thousands? Over 1 million? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But it's definitely in the thousands, tens of thousands, most likely hundreds of thousands. Because it's been going on for 60, 70 years. How can this man, is he completely deluded? Is Mirza Masroor, is he not aware of reality or something? Because this makes my blood boil. It will make anybody listening, it will make your blood boil when you hear that he sits there saying to you currently Ahmadis are the most persecuted people. What is going on to the Palestinians? What's happened to the Palestinians since the Israeli illegal state got formed? How many people have been killed? How many Israeli people have moved into Palestinian people's homes by force? By force. And even in the settlements that you see, even in the last few years, all these settlements, illegal settlements that the Israeli people have formed on the land that they've seized, they kick the Palestinians, they kick them in their backsides, they kick them, they push them, they pull the women's headscarves. That's what they do. That's just the beatings that they get. That's just the abuse that they get from this disgusting racist apartheid Israeli government. But how about all the murders? How about all the stuff, for example, that happened in Gaza in 2014? How about Sabra and Shatila? How about Jenin? And then Mirza Masroor, Mr. Deluded, he comes and starts telling you that they are the most persecuted people and shamelessly tries to attach the fact that Ahmadis have some persecution against them, attaching that to the mass murder of Palestinians. Any human being listening to this video now, go and look at the facts, go and look at how many people, go and look at the pictures, and then come and tell me, 90 people were killed in Lahore. Go and show me how many thousands of people were killed in Palestine. Go and show me they were bombed to pieces when they were walking to the market. Go and show me that and then tell me Ahmadis are the most persecuted people. Who is more persecuted than Ahmadis in a few Muslim countries? Question mark. That's what Mirza Masroor said. Currently Ahmadis are the most persecuted people. How on earth can this man who's supposedly rightly guided, who's supposedly guided by Allah, Allah who created the planets, the whole universe, who knows the unseen, he's supposedly guided by Allah and he doesn't know these basic things that people on the street know. Whether they're Muslim or they're not Muslim, they know these facts. They know these facts. We know so Ahmadis are persecuted and we know why they're persecuted, okay? We don't condone it. We don't say we're always against anybody getting killed. This is something we have to be very clear on. We are against anybody being killed. Because there's no need to kill Ahmadis. You can just show them the writings of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, this disgusting man from Qadian, who the Ahmadiyya organization in recent history have polished him up so much to paint him as the promised Messiah, and the people have no idea about his horrible character, his disgraceful language, he swore so many times, wishing bad things on people. Look at the way he died of cholera, vomiting, doing diarrhea on himself until he died, and then they sit there saying to you, only Allah can help you, only Allah can help us, only the prayer of Ahmadis will be heard, only the prayer of Ahmadis will help the people in the Middle East and in Muslim countries. How? How will that happen when Mirza Ghulam himself, the fake promised Messiah, died of diarrhea and vomiting? How? God didn't even help him. God left him to be misguided and he left him to die like that. And then you get Mirza Masroor telling you that the Ahmadi dua is the thing that is going to save the Muslims? How is the Ahmadi dua going to save the Muslims when the Ahmadiyya organization is from the inception of the Ahmadiyya organization, since Mirza Ghulam's time, they have been side by side, allies, friends of the British government in India, and have carried that on after the Britain left India, and they're still friends of Israel, as I demonstrated in the first video, where Shimon Peres was invited to dinner by the Ahmadiyya organization in Kababir. Shimon Peres, the mass murderer of Palestinians, was invited to dinner. And then you've got your leader, Mirza Masroor, conning the Ahmadis. He's conning you, Ahmadis. He's fooling you. And he's trying to give you just the current soft image of Ahmadiyya. Not telling you the history, not showing you the disgusting contradictions, the disgusting un-Islamic behavior of this organization. This organization has specialized in doing what? In cutting itself off from the Muslim Ummah and aligning itself with anyone who's against Islam, because that's the only benefit of Ahmadiyya, like I said in the first video. What is the benefit of Ahmadiyya? What's the benefit of having this crackpot Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as the messiah of this organization? What's the benefit? The only benefit is that he has divided, he has taken his group that he calls the saved group, he cut them off from the Muslims. Don't pray with them, don't do janazah with them, don't marry them, don't do Ramadan with them, even Eid and Ramadan all different days as well, completely separate. That's all he's done. So they benefited from someone called Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and the organization has carried that on. Now if the organization tells you this is what we're doing, most good intentioned Ahmadis will run away and they will leave Ahmadiyya. But they will not tell you that. That's why we always say to Ahmadis, please pay attention, read between the lines, look at Mirza Ghulam's writings, and then you tell me if this is a man guided by Allah. You tell me, look at the way they speak. A person like Mirza Masroor, the current leader of Ahmadiyya, if he really is for Allah and he is doing his work for Allah and for humanity and he's really being sincere, what would stop him from saying Israel is a terrorist state? What would stop him saying something like Israel are killing, murdering Palestinians every single day? What would stop him from mentioning that every single khutbah? What would stop him? Nothing would stop him. Nothing would stop him from saying the truth. When Lee Rigby was killed, what did they say? I'll read it off you from their websites, right? What's the number one thing they did? Oh, press release for immediate release. Thousands of Muslims, they're not Muslims anyway, they're mainly the Ahmadi Muslim community. It says thousands of members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community will be congregating for Friday prayers and will also condemn the barbaric murder of drummer Lee Rigby by extremists on Wednesday. The gathering of British Muslims from across the country will take place in London, at Western Europe's largest mosque. No, it's not British Muslims, my dear listeners, it's Ahmadis from across the country will be meeting at Western Europe's largest mosque. That mosque is Baytul Futuh, that's an Ahmadi mosque. So look how they con the world and say Muslims, don't even try that. So they say the worshippers will offer the prayers for drummer Lee Rigby and his family and express solidarity against extremism. Rafiq Hayat, national president of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community UK, said, "We stand united with the rest of the country in sharing the deep sorrow and pain following the horrific senseless attack on Wednesday. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family of drummer Lee Rigby. We hope that the perpetrators of this crime that is based on a twisted and warped ideology are brought to justice. Islam is a religion of compassion and peace, a religion which considers the killing of an individual akin to the killing of the whole of mankind. Such acts of violence, therefore, have absolutely no place in Islam and can never be justified. All the Muslims that I know, not Ahmadis, because I don't know many Ahmadis anymore after, alhamdulillah, I've left that disastrous organization, all of them condemned this killing, and all of them condemned the idiots who went and killed Lee Rigby, and whoever the hell told them to do it, be it MI5 or whoever the hell told them to do it, they're all against it. It's not just Ahmadis. So just before Ahmadis start saying, oh, you're with extremists, no, we're against any of that extremist crap. We don't believe in that sort of thing. We're trying to be decent Muslims. We're trying to be good to every human being. Any race or religion, we don't care. We're trying to be good to everybody. Because that's our deen. That's what Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ taught us. To be good with them, charitable, respectful. And only defend yourself if they're attacking you. That's it. Simple as. Don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. That's what we do. Right? So, Ahmadiyya organization, look at that sort of condemnation that they put forward for one guy getting killed. How about all the hundreds, approximately 2,000 people now, as I say, as of 22nd of August 2014, it's over 2,000 people have been murdered in Palestine, and around 80% or more are just ordinary civilians. Ordinary civilians, that includes disabled people, elderly people, mothers, regular husbands who are just trying to work and feed their families and children. 2,000, and approximately 80% of that are ordinary civilians. Where's the massive headlines here? They won't do it, dear people. You know why? Because the Ahmadiyya organization, it does not stand for truth and justice. It stands for, oh, we've got political points to win here with Israel and the Britain foreign policy. Because again, I'm not going to say we're against the British government. No, we're not. We're against their foreign policy, and we're against the fact that they support Israel. Let's keep it restricted to that specific point that I'm saying right there. And even USA were against their foreign policy, where they're supporting Israel, supporting the murders that are going on. We know why that's happening, because the Zionist Israelis have infiltrated various positions in the US government. Most ordinary Americans wouldn't even spit on Israel if it was on fire. They wouldn't give them a cent of their money if they had the choice. But the US government keeps sending billions of dollars of aid to Israel. That's because of the reasons I just mentioned a few seconds ago. Where's the real condemnation of the Ahmadiyya organization? You will never see it. As I explained to you, as I showed, as I read, Mirza Masroor, the head of Ahmadiyya, his best attempt is to blame the Muslims and just say, sort of weak. Keep it weak. Don't go too hard against Israel, because you're going to rock the boat with them. And to all those Ahmadis out there who really think your organization is just about truth and that you have no political connections, why is it that you're always giving speeches in political forums, the European Parliament? You get people like Obama mention your organization. You invite MPs all the time to your jalsas, local politicians. Why? Why are you doing all this sort of thing? Because you're fooling them. You want to say, oh, we're such great Muslims. You're a closed organization. Some people refer to Ahmadiyya as a cult. Why did they say that? Because the Ahmadiyya organization oppresses people within its cult who do not conform to what they say. If you ask questions, immediately you're labeled as someone who is suspect. If you leave Ahmadiyya, your whole family are ordered to not talk to you anymore. If you're married, you're ordered to your wife or your husband, whichever one is relevant, to divorce you and take the children. That's the sort of thing that happens. That's not normal in this society, and not even in Islam. That's not normal. So that's what people refer to as a cult. I refer to it, and my colleagues refer to it, as a closed community. So this organization is continuously keeping its polished up PR image in front of the world, and going around, and they've got so many websites, trying to give the world, to con the world, pull the how do you say, the blindfold on the world, and say, look how peaceful we are. If only people like the House of Parliament, the parliamentarians, knew what the organization, Ahmadiyya organization, does to its followers, how it demands money of them, how it bullies people, how it demands that you cut off their children if they leave Ahmadiyya. You get divorced, pressure them to get divorced if the one person leaves, and if you don't do it, well then somehow you're some sort of bad person, you're outcast, you're shunned, they give you a cold shoulder. This is the sort of thing that happens, all by pressure. They pressure people. And you get the false PR, love for all, hatred for none. You get the false PR, oh, we are the true Muslims, and we're really upset about everything in the world. Upset? You actually perpetuate the division within Islam, and you actually make sure that your followers don't actually mix with Muslims. Why? Because you know that they might get some words from them. They might realize that Islam doesn't have these stupid things that Mirza Ghulam has come and introduced and tried to force into Islam for to tell people that this is the religion of Islam, the true Islam. They don't want you to realize that it's actually wrong. A lot of the teachings of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, a lot of the behavior of the Ahmadiyya organization, they don't want you to mix with Muslims, but they happily have you mix with the other Muslims. The non-Muslims, because then there's no conflict. I digressed a little bit with that point. I carry on here. The Ahmadiyya organization even did a 5K fun run. A 5K fun run in honor of soldier Lee Rigby. And all the PR stuff, they got you a nice little funny, cute, fuzzy teddy bear outfit, someone standing inside it and trying to act all friendly, and we're all friendly and all this sort of stuff. Where is this for the Palestinian people? Where is it for the Palestinian people? All the other Muslims who are getting slaughtered around the country, around the world, where? Where is it? But you go and you do it for honor, in honor of soldier Lee Rigby. No problem, do it for Lee Rigby, but you have to do it for other hundreds or thousands of people who get murdered as well. You have to do it if you are true Islam. If you really are leading the Muslims and you actually call yourself Khalifa of Allah, which is a big joke, as we've said in many of our videos, with evidence to show what Mirza Ghulam was. So how on earth is Mirza Masroor actually a Khalifa anyway? I carry on now. Now I'm going to read a few examples. Few examples here of normal people. Some normal people, what I mean is they're not holy people. They're famous people, obviously, that's why their voice is heard. But they're normal people in terms of they're not religious. And I'll start with Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan. I quote him. He said, "Just like Hitler, who sought to establish a race free of all faults, Israel is chasing after the same target. They kill women so that they will not give birth to Palestinians. They kill babies so that they won't grow up. They kill men so they can't defend their country. They will drown in the blood they shed. Israelis have no conscience, no honor, no pride. Those who condemn Hitler day and night have surpassed Hitler in barbarism." End of quote. The president of Venezuela, President Maduro, he likened the latest operation to an extermination. I quote, "Venezuela also rejects the cynical campaigns trying to condemn both parties equally when it is clear you cannot morally compare occupied and massacred Palestine with the occupying state Israel, which also possesses military superiority and acts on the margins of international law." They're not margins, by the way, they're completely outside it. President of Bolivia, Evo Morales, he joined the Venezuelan leader in condemnation of Israel's Operation Protective Edge, which is this operation in 2014 in Gaza. During a visit to Brazil, the leader said it was high time something was done to end the genocide that Israel is carrying out on Palestine. I quote now, "There is no UN High Commission on Human Rights. There is no Human Rights Council. When an empire attacks a country with a view to dominating it, unfortunately, there is no one who can defend the people." Argentinian representative Maria Percival condemned the use of force in the Gaza Strip by the Israelis. Percival said that Israel used an, and I quote, "indiscriminate abuse of militarism," close quote, "and the citizens living in the Gaza Strip paid the price of the disproportionate use of force." Brazil. Move on to Brazil now. The Brazilian government vehemently condemns the Israeli bombardment of Gaza with disproportionate use of force. This was a statement by the Brazil Ministry of External Relations. Chile. Chilean President Bachelet not only condemned the attacks on Gaza, but the country went so far as to freeze the free trade agreement negotiations that were underway between Israel and one of Latin America's strongest economies. Ayatollah Khomeini, the Iranian, he has condemned Israel as a rabid dog for its bombardment of Gaza, and called on Muslims to arm Palestinians to enable them to counter what he described as genocide. Khomeini criticized the United States and European countries for what he claimed were their efforts to limit the military capacity of Palestinian fighters. I quote him now. They have been pounding innocent people day and night, and these men, women and children are defending themselves with minimum means. And now Americans and Europeans want to take even that away, so that those merciless beasts could pound without qualm. That, by the way, guys, that's obviously Ayatollah Khamenei is Muslim. I don't care what sect. He's a Muslim, and he stands up and he can say these sort of words, and he's not guided by Allah or whatever, like the Ahmadiyya organizations. Supposedly Mirza Masroor thinks he's a worldwide leader of the Muslims. He can't even say such a straight statement against Israel. This is how you speak. This is how you describe. This is how you condemn Israel. I continue. I've still got more examples here. This is quite rare actually, because in Western Europe, most of the governments, the majority, they have not uttered a peep. They haven't spoken. They haven't condemned at all Israel for what they've been doing. But the foreign minister, the French foreign minister, Laurent Fabius, he said, I quote, "How many more deaths will it take to stop what must be called the carnage in Gaza?" This is according to the English language French outlet The Local. Then I carry on the quote. "The tradition of friendship between Israel and France is an old one, and Israel's right to security is total. But the right does not justify the killing of children and slaughter of civilians." Even the French foreign minister, obviously, he's trying to give Israel some of their, some recognition, which we all know, even in the international community, any just people who understand international law, even understand normal justice, natural justice, human justice, you know that this is illegal occupation. It's not, Israel is an illegal state, but he still condemned, so he gave them, some sort of recognition, validation for their state, but he condemned the killing of the children, the slaughter of civilians, and that's good. We're very happy that he actually used these words, slaughter of civilians, killing of children. Ban Ki-moon, however handcuffed he is, he's verbally handcuffed. We know these people in the UN, a lot of them actually have goodness inside them, but they can't open their mouth, unfortunately, because they're handcuffed. Obviously not physically. But Ban Ki-moon called the assault a moral outrage and a criminal act. That's the best he could do, which is still better than what he said anyway. Moving on, some of you may have heard of Penelope Cruz. She's a Hollywood actress. Her husband Javier Bardem as well. They both they are among the Spanish stars, because many Spanish stars, singers, whatever, actors, they wrote an open letter condemning Israel's bombardment of Gaza as genocide. The letter, printed by Europa Press and other Spanish news outlets, reads, Gaza is living through horror these days, besieged and attacked by land, sea and air. Now, a quote from the letter, it said, "Palestinians' homes are being destroyed. They are being denied water, electricity and free movement to the hospitals, the schools and the fields, while the international community does nothing." Labeling the Israeli military the Israel occupation forces. That's how they've called the Israeli military. They don't call them IDF. They call them Israel occupation forces. It demanded an immediate ceasefire and urged Israel to lift the blockade, which the Gaza Strip has suffered for more than 10 years, a decade. It blamed the latest hostilities on Israel's advancement into Palestinian territories instead of observing the 1967 borders predating the Six-Day War. The letter said that Israel humiliates, detains and tramples on the rights of the Palestinian population in all of the West Bank every day, also causing many deaths. Now, we need to comment on this. I need to comment on this right now. These people, rich people, affluent people living comfortably, I don't think not even one of them is Muslim. Because you don't have to be Muslim to speak up about this. Just like I would speak up about outrages, murders or ethnic cleansing of other people. I would speak up against it. I don't have to be the same race or religion as them. These people have come, and look at the language. You want to replay the video, rewind it 1 minute, whatever, you can hear it. Look at the language they say. Look at the things that they cover. They talk about the water, they talk about the electricity, they talk about the blockades, they talk about the right to get treatment at hospitals being denied to the Palestinians. Look how much in touch with reality they are. And look at Mirza Masroor, he doesn't even mention any of this sort of thing. Either he doesn't know, or he knows and he's deliberately not saying it because he doesn't want to offend Israel. These are normal people and they can say the truth. How can it be the supposed Khalifa of Islam, how can he not be able to say such things like this? How can he not say it? All normal people. Most of the listeners to this thing would probably say the same thing. They would denounce Israel and condemn them harshly and specify why they're condemning them. So easy for normal people to do it. How is the leader of the Muslims, supposedly, the Ahmadi? We know it's not Muslims, obviously. The leaders of the Ahmadis. You can't even say that. Ask yourselves that question and tell me show me that that's a condemnation, what you've got there on your websites. Even Sayyidah Warsi, she's a very well-known politician in England. She strongly condemned Israel and even resigned over this issue. She eventually resigned over this issue. And then you've got David Cameron and the USA's David Cameron's statement. What did he say? He said that he strongly condemned the appalling attacks being carried out by Hamas against Israeli civilians and underlined Israel's right to defend itself from them. We know David Cameron has come up many times and said he's a staunch supporter of Israel. David Cameron, people like him, whoever comes and takes his place afterwards, they will always say things in support of Israel because of other reasons. David Cameron is not blind, but he can't come out and say the truth. This is the unfortunate case of politics these days. They can't even say the truth. They can't. They get employed, prime minister, president, whatever. They have to do what they're told, especially with foreign policy. It will always stay the same. It will hardly ever change. USA said, US State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki said, no country should be expected to stand by while rocket attacks from a terrorist organization are launched into their country and impacting innocent civilians. That's what the US State Department spokesperson said. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go too much and start talking about the USA, what they've said there, because we know, Israel is actually the terrorist state. And if you want to call someone terrorist, well then call both of them terrorists if you want. How about that? But don't just call one person, one organization, who all they're trying to do with their limited means, they're trying to defend their land, they're trying to defend their people with their extremely futile, weak weaponry and stuff like that. That's all they're trying to do. Israel has far superior weapons. They are actually the terrorist state. They terrorize the Palestinians. They beat them. They have apartheid. They have separate freeways for them, separate motorways, separate roads. They don't give them clean water to many areas of the Palestinian land. They control them. They're squeezing them by the throat. They got them on a calorie-controlled diet in some areas of Palestinian land. This is what Israel's doing. If that's not terrorist, then how the hell we need to look at the definition of terrorist again and maybe come out with a new word. This is the reality of what Israel does. Now, I'm going to follow on now, and I want the listeners to ask themselves something. We listeners, especially the Ahmadis who send abusive emails and accusing us of one person, unfortunately, person I actually know, and if you're listening to this, yes, I am the same Osama that you met in the mosque when I was researching Ahmadiyya. You actually called me an idiot in one of your YouTube comments, and unfortunately for you, I don't know why you've put your face with your YouTube ID. That's why I know it's you. Obviously I don't want to embarrass you any further, because I want to give you a chance to realize that obviously you've called me an idiot. You know who I am, and I've never called any individual Ahmadis an idiot, even though I have met many idiots, but I still will not refer to them. I didn't say Ahmadis all are idiots. I said I met many idiots who are Ahmadi. They're really totally brainwashed people. They really have awful perception of reality. They've got some weird reality. But the thing is, I've never, me or anybody actually in our group here, none of us have actually insulted any normal Ahmadi people. Of course, yeah, we don't like Mirza Masroor. Yeah, of course he deserves to be ridiculed and insulted for what he does. We don't even swear at him, but he's hideous. He is a pathetic leader because of the fact that he doesn't. He knows the truth and he's purposefully misguiding the Ahmadis just to keep you all in your organization, keep you all giving money, so that his empire, his family keep getting money, and forever they're going to be rich all their life. or he actually has no clue about reality. So either way, he's not fit to rule, good people. He's not, he shouldn't be the person who's leading, especially this organization anyway. It's not a true organization, it's not true Islam. It's based on Mirza Ghulam, the filthy character of Mirza Ghulam. And again, if you haven't seen our other videos, please go and see those videos, and that's why you'll see why I refer to him as a filthy character. You see the things he says, his bad language, his horrible intention towards people, all these sort of things, the way he died even, all the sort of false prophecy that he kept spouting that didn't come true, all this sort of stuff. Go look at it and then you tell me what this guy is about. And see, one point actually that I will mention in a few minutes, I will come back to about Mirza Ghulam and his, when he kept gloating about his father giving 50 horses and 50 riders for the 1857 mutiny in India. I'll come back to that in a second. But however, the point I'm trying to say is, people such as you, who you know who you are because you know who I am, you shouldn't call me an idiot. I'll give you a chance to take it back, no problem if you want to, because I've never insulted, and none of us have ever insulted Ahmadis individually, because we don't need to. This is stupid if we do that. Our whole purpose here, dear listener, you who know who I am, and everyone else who's Ahmadis listening, we are trying to make you aware. We're not here to insult you. We're not here to swear at you. We're here to make you aware of this organization that is fooling you, that is tricking you, that is hiding their history away from you so that you don't know what the origins, what other stuff did Mirza Ghulam write other than his qasidas and all these little basic stuff like the power of prayer. We know he wrote that stuff. What other things did he write which they don't show you? We show you. That's all that we're trying to do here. We're not making these videos to try to just have a free attack, a verbal attack, a verbal barrage against the Ahmadi people. We're not at all trying to do that to you. This is pointless. We're all working people. We're all adult people. We're not children. We're not immature people who just want to throw insults and stuff. We genuinely want to help you Ahmadis. That's what we want to do. So please, refrain from insulting. Look at our videos. Look at the evidence that we present. And then you'll see why we refer to Mirza Ghulam the way we do, and Mirza Masroor and all the other previous leaders of this despicable organization. Now look at what we just said. Despicable organization, not despicable Ahmadis. We don't say despicable Ahmadis because we know most Ahmadis have no clue about the things that we are showing in our videos and on our website. And many other websites, alhamdulillah, actually doing the same thing. The ones who actually show the true quotes and they're not messing around, they're not lying or anything like that. All they're trying to do is make you aware. Make you aware. And if you carry on and you actually think, no, I'm happy with this stuff, well then you've actually left Islam, because Mirza Ghulam left Islam with his thoughts and his beliefs and from his writings, obviously, as evidenced by his writings. He left Islam with what he said. Ahmadis, you need to remember something. You've got Mirza Ghulam, he's the one who made the other Muslims non-Muslim. He said the other Muslims are not Muslim because they reject him. And you are told strongly and constantly reminded that, how do you define a Muslim? One who says the Shahada. You can't refer to someone as non-Muslim. Your Mirza Ghulam himself made the other Muslims non-Muslim. He said they are not Muslim if they reject me. So please remember all these things. Check our videos out. So inshallah, please, remember not to send all these sort of stupid insults. How stupid is it for someone to send an insult like that? It's very cowardly. Any of you who are listening who sent insults in the past, you are behaving like a coward. And please, from a Muslim speaking to you and telling you, with respect, don't do that. Don't do that. You think you're a tough guy, you send an insult and quick send a message. What are you going to achieve with that? Address the stuff that we say. Address the evidence. Read. This is the request I'm making. Read the quotes, the pages that we show from Mirza Ghulam's books. If you don't know Urdu, please go and find someone who knows Urdu that you can trust and tell me word for word what is written here. Do not tell them to paraphrase it. Tell them word for word so that you can understand the character of Mirza Ghulam. Because not every quote is just the subject. It's not just the subject matter. It's the way he says stuff. The way he says things. This is the sort of thing that shows you what sort of character he was. Because otherwise, how else do you know what Mirza Ghulam's character? You didn't know him. Even your grandparents were not alive when he was around. So how do you know? You look from his writings and you see the sort of mannerisms they had. Then you get a good image of what he is, what sort of person he was. And the funniest thing is, one of the people who commented is really made... You see, I'm not going to call you an idiot either. Even though what you said is idiotic, but I'm not going to say you're an idiot or stupid. I need to educate you on some point. And this is not... I'm not being arrogant with you or nothing. I need to educate you on a point. Not everyone who speaks up against the false Islam, Ahmadiyya, and speaks up against the false prophet, Mirza Ghulam, is an extremist. Actually, almost everyone who knows about Ahmadiyya is not an extremist, because a lot of Muslims don't know about Ahmadiyya. But those who do know it, they're not extremists. We are not extremists. The people that we know who know of Ahmadiyya, they're not extremists. And we definitely were not with the idiots ISIS, and we're not with Al-Qaeda, and any of this rubbish. So please don't by default. You have to educate yourself and open your view, open your eyes more, and realize that not by default, if someone is against Ahmadiyya, you cannot by automatically just say, oh, you're a terrorist then. You're with ISIS. You can't say that. We are not. We're totally against these idiots, ISIS. And if you look into the history of ISIS, you'll start seeing, the history, which is a very short history. You will actually start seeing links of, ask yourself, how did they get formed? Where did they get all these weapons from in such a short time? You'll start realizing that it's actually nothing to do with Islam. But they've got, unfortunately, the misguided youth, the misguided Muslims from those countries who have no job, who have nothing. They play with their emotions and they make them join the organization and they go around killing people. That's what's going on there. But the leaders of ISIS, they know exactly what they're doing and they're not actually trying to help Islam or nothing. And we condemn ISIS. Clearly, we are against all their killings, their merciless killings of people who are Muslim or not Muslim. We are totally against that. How's that for a condemnation? Anyway, please, inshallah, make sure that you don't, all these comments, just stop them. Thank you very much to all our supporters who continuously write messages of thanks, and the many people who leave Ahmadiyya based on the evidence that we're showing and the other evidence of other people's websites as well. You will keep leaving. I understand that many people leave quietly. They don't want, to create a big disaster, in front of their families and stuff, because their families are going to get humiliated. So thank you very much for that. The final note that I wanted to close on is, you see how Mirza Masroor talks about, as in one of the quotes that I quoted, he said that that the Muslims, everybody needs to stop killing each other, and they both need to stop, and all this sort of stuff. Both sides need to stop aggression. Let me see which quote. I believe it was on the 25th of July. I read it earlier in the video. Let me see in the quote. I'll just run through it. Okay, aggression shown by the two can be likened. Western powers. Yeah, it's in that on the 25th of July when he said what was needed was that both sides should have been strictly stopped from perpetrating aggression. Mirza Masroor either doesn't know the history of or hasn't read Mirza Ghulam's books, which is very possible. Very possible, because how could you read that and keep your food in your stomach? How could you read that and actually still say I'm Muslim and say Allahu Akbar? Mirza Ghulam, as you know, if you watched our other videos, when the so-called rebellion in 1857 in India happened, 1857, right? Be clear on that. Mirza Ghulam was alive. Anyway, he said himself he was around 16 or 17 at that time. His father, Murtaza, gave 50 horses with 50 riders to attack and kill the Indians who were trying to kick the British out of their land, because the British were occupying India. They were occupying India by force. Nobody asked them to come and take over India. India was a country on its own. The British came in and took them. Mirza Ghulam, he boasts and writes to the British officials when he was obviously doing his book writing business. He wrote many times, I think we got it more than 11 times, we found quotes, where he mentions that his father gave 50 riders and 50 horses for the side of the British who were killing the Indians who were trying to rebel and have their country back, get their freedom back. By him saying this and writing it 11 times, He is condoning the murder of people who are rebelling within their country against occupiers. Why mention 11 times if you're against violence, Mr. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad? Why would you mention 11 times? That's just 11 times that we found. There are probably more times. 11 times he mentions with pride. And all of this, why? To prove to the British that he is on their side. This is why and that's why he used to say stuff like, we are sincere well-wishers of the British government, blah, blah, blah. I've written all the books I've written for the sake of the British would fill 50 almaras, whatever, 50 cupboards. He was actually pro-violence from that statement. That's why you have to use your brain. You have to use your brain and look at what he's saying there. He's boasting about his father giving 50 riders and 50 horses who killed the Indians, murdered Indians who wanted to get their country back. So then that means he's actually condoning violence. But then Mirza Masroor comes and says that what was needed is that both sides should have been strictly stopped from perpetrating aggression. Where was that with your own prophet? Where was that? Why didn't he say, no, both sides should, let's be fair, the British should leave India to be fair, Where was that? No, he said, no, my father gave 50 riders and 50 horses. To aid the effort of killing Indians, to continually kill Indians during the horrific British rule of India, where they were the biggest opium dealers, where they taxed people up to 90% tax, where they forced people to grow opium on their land instead of food, because the opium yielded more cash when they sold it. They didn't give a damn about the people. They kept exporting food during the famines in India when there was no food. They still kept exporting it out rather than giving it to the people who are starving. This is the evil, unjust British rule. And even most British people who know their history tell you this was a shameful period of the history. But Mirza Ghulam and obviously his following successors who call themselves Khalifas, they will sit there telling you that the British are amazing and all this sort of stuff, when British people themselves say this was shameful. Second thing, Mirza Ghulam goes and tried to raise chanda money. He made an appeal, we mentioned it in another video, he made an appeal to raise chanda for the British soldiers who were killed while trying to steal diamonds and gold from the Transvaal in South Africa. He's raising money for the soldiers, the thieving soldiers, so while they were stealing, they got shot in the leg or shot in the back or whatever. So as they were committing theft, they got injured, and he's trying to raise money for those thieves. And he made an appeal for these people. Again, violence, and he's condoning violence by saying such stuff, because they are not only are they're stealing and they're killing people and they got killed, and he's trying to raise money for the thieves. How many contradictions do you need to see, dear Ahmadis? And I really mean it, dear Ahmadis, how many contradictions do you need to see until you realize that this organization is corrupt? And that your good, sincere efforts are completely wasted on this organization. You should leave Ahmadiyya and join Islam. No sect, no nothing. Just be a good human being as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to be. That's the whole reason why He gave us all these previous religions and ended it with Islam and ended it with Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's message. He just wants us to be good human beings, loyal people, sincere people, giving people, respectful people, not cut you off from the rest of the Muslims, not tell you don't pray with them, don't do janazah with them even when they die, don't do Ramadan with them even if the timings are so wrong, don't marry them. This is evil. And then also label the other Muslims as non-Muslim, because that's what Mirza Ghulam did. He said they're non-Muslim because they don't accept him. This is not the intention of our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Ahmadis are going to send a silly comment, you're going to send me a stupid comment and say, oh, look at the division, this, that. Those people, they have made mistakes as well. But that's what I'm saying to you. I'm not telling you join those people. We have not joined those people. We're trying to live as Muslims, like Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was just a Muslim. He was just a Muslim. He did not have a sect. He didn't say, no, I'm not praying with him, I'm not praying with him. At the time of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, anybody who was a Muslim stands together in prayer. Prayer is going on, they're walking down the road, they join. Nowadays, of course, we've got all these divisions and people saying, I don't pray here, I don't pray there. But the most abominable, disgraceful division is the Ahmadiyya organization's division. Because they've completely made all Muslims non-Muslim, not even allowed to marry them, nothing like that. There's no negotiation, basically. And we know that this is all to serve the purpose of the British government. You know, Mirza Ghulam did all this stuff because he wanted to serve them. He saw it as a way to riches. He saw a way to make real money. And he offered his services. We believe that, I don't think the British planted him. We believe he offered his services to divide the Muslims further, make them non-resistant, make them stop resisting occupation. And this is again what we say, our opinion, and many other people that we've spoken with, educated people, not uneducated people, people who have a lot of research, done a lot of research, have a lot of facts. You know, people who have done doctorates in politics, international law. They say the same thing, that their best guess is that the benefit of Ahmadiyya to Israel is that Israel is, say, gambling, taking a little gamble, a small little investment. They're placing a small investment on the Ahmadiyya organization that maybe they can make most or many Palestinians Ahmadis, because then they will completely stop resisting the occupation of their land, and they will stop fighting, and they will stop the killing. This is the only motive. Why the only motivation for this? Because why Israel is a racist state? Why do they need to be friends with any sort of Muslim, Ahmadi or any sort of sector, anything? Why do they need to be friends with them? It's because they're against the mainstream Muslims. And therefore they're actually standing against the Palestinians who are resisting occupation. And inshallah, this is final note that I wanted to leave you with. Bismillah, if required, we will produce part 3 if it's required, if there are more updates. Inshallah, please check out other videos. Bismillah, this video was informative, and inshallah, you know, we don't lie about anything. Anything we say is substantiated. Alhamdulillah, we quote. We don't just make up things. We give the quote, we give the evidence, and this is what we ask Ahmadis to do. We say, read the evidence, then comment on the evidence. Don't send messages saying you're an idiot, you are misguided, all this sort of stuff, zindabad, whatever. That's not going to work. Please look at the evidence that we put and then answer the evidence, because this is why we left Ahmadiyya. It's based on that evidence. So you don't come to us and start telling us, oh, death of Jesus, or Khatam al-Nabiyyin, or we've got the biggest mosque in Europe. That proves we're true. That's a bunch of nonsense. Please look at this evidence, make your comments. And if you don't want to, don't. Thank you very much, it's no problem. Inshallah, this can be informative for everyone. This is Osama Sayyid from IslamAfterAhmadiyya.com saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.